Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon in your case. For me, it's morning. I'm sitting here in my Darth Vader bathrobe with ghosts to the right of me, Chewie to the left of me. Now, if Patali, please start talking. We're trying to start a Tanakh shir. Today's shir, which I will not be able to attend, is about Shiloh. And you've been learning about Shiloh, and you'll be learning about Shiloh and the area of Shomron all week. You've learned about Yehoshua Yudchet, where in fact Shiloh is the place where Bnei Israel come together after the first wave of conquering of the land, and there the land is divided among the remaining Shvatim. You've learned about Shiloh, and you should be learning about Shiloh about the end of chapter Shoftim. Shiloh doesn't appear throughout Shoftim. Interesting enough, and that in itself is a commentary. The Mishkan doesn't appear throughout the period of Shoftim, hundreds of years until the very end of the book. Now, how does the book written? Those who've been in my Tanakh shir know that there are really three sections. There's the first two chapters, which are an introduction. Chapters 3 to 16 are a list of the 14 shoftim that appear, the five major ones: Ehud, Devorah, Gidon, Yiftach, and Shimshon, with the other minor ones interspersed in the middle. And the last five chapters describe two stories. The first story, of course, is the story of the Pesel Micha, where a man called Micha decides to open for himself a Beit Avodah Zarah, the prophet. Does pretty well, not a bad business in those days, until Shevet Dan comes and says, we're not having any luck. Maybe if we steal some Avodah Zarah from this guy, that will be our personal, good luck charm, as it were. And they managed to kidnap the Kohen, who happens to be Moshe Rabbeinu's grandson. Among all the ironies, Moshe Rabbeinu's grandson is the one who is serving as the Kohen in his house for Avodah Zarah, and Shevet Dan takes him up north, and he becomes the actual person leading the Avodah Zarah there. And this takes place only 3 miles from Shiloh, and you'll see that when you travel. The other story is even worse. There's a final three chapters of Shoftim deal with the story of Pelegish B'Givah. Pelegish B'Givah is the rape of the concubine in Givah, one of the most horrific stories in Tanakh, the gang rape of a guest and her eventual death, which leads to all of Bnei Israel saying, this is really too far. We have to punish these people. And when Binyamin refuses, it breaks out into all civil war. They go to Shiloh, but because their behavior is not considered acceptable, it becomes the story that just unfolds seems to spiral out of control, and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of Bnei Israel die on both sides. Shevet Binyamin is nearly wiped out, and to really make matters worse, when they realize they've nearly wiped out Shevet Binyamin, they have to find girls for Shevet Binyamin to repopulate the tribe. They come up with the bright idea: let's kidnap the girls who come to Shiloh. These girls come and they're coming to dance and they're coming to celebrate at the Mishkan, and yet what happens? What are they doing? They steal these girls. They kidnap these girls and they hand them over to Binyamin, and how wonderful it is. I'm saying that cynically, of course. What I want to talk about for the brief couple minutes we have is what Shiloh meant in Nevi'im Achronim, and very specifically one Navi. You can see his picture there. That is the Navi Yirmiyahu. This is the famous picture of Yirmiyahu from Michelangelo's Sistine Church, the ceiling where he painted it. And Yirmiyahu, of course, is never painted with a smile on his face. He's the Navi who is the final Navi in Yehuda before the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash in 586 at the hands of the Babylonians. He's there for 40 years. He's begging, cajoling people, please do tshuva. He's trying to find any way possible. At first, it seems that he's successful. There's hope. He's with Melech Yoshiao, the greatest king that Yehuda produces, but Yoshiao's reign ends suddenly, and the people fall into despair, and all of a sudden we have and there's no leadership left, and Yirmiyahu can only beg, but really he's helpless to prevent the upcoming destruction. We're looking at a very specific nevuah of his. I'm turning now to Perek Yudalad, Perek Zayin, and in this he mentions Shiloh for a very specific purpose. So let's take a look at it. Hadavar haya asher hayal Yirmiyahu me'et Hashem lemor. This is the word of Hashem that comes to Yirmiyahu. Amod b'shar Beit Hashem. Stand in the Beit HaMikdash. Stand in the shar as people come in. Normally, we don't know where the Navi gives his nevuot. Nevi'im can give anywhere. They can go in the fields. They can go in the marketplaces. There's a Chazal that state that Huldah would go to the women's groups and Zephaniah would go to the Oh, Ghost wants to go for a walk. Too much heavy CGI in this video, I guess. Bye, Ghost. Say bye-bye. Anyways, Zephaniah was teaching the Batei Midrashot, but Yirmiyahu would speak in the marketplaces. Here, however, this nevuah has to be given in the Beit HaMikdash, as people come in. And as they're greeted as they come in to perform their korbanot and do their services, V'marta shimu devar Shem kol Yehuda ba'im b'sharim eila nishtachavot l'Shem. We see that there are people in Israel who are coming to the Beit HaMikdash to serve. This should be great, because they're not going to worship Avodah Zarah. We'd assume they're offering the korbanot properly. So what are they doing, and why are they doing it? Ko amar Hashem b'svakot Elokei Yisrael. This is what Hashem has to say to these people who come to the Beit HaMikdash. And these are the last, these are your last fans. These are the ones you would assume, okay, you guys are doing great. We've got to help everybody else get better. Correct? No. Heitivu darchechem u'malechem v'shkanatchem b'makom hazeh. Hashem says, you got to improve your ways, or else you're not going to dwell in this place. And this is a little subtle. If you notice the Hebrew, when the Mishkan is first built, back in Parshat Truma, it says, build me a Mishkan v'shechanti b'tocham. Hashem dwells among us, because this is not his natural place to be, first of all. But I will lower myself from Shemaim, I will come and I will dwell among you. But more importantly, and this is really the main point, Hashem dwells among the people. He doesn't dwell in a place. And now Bnei Yisrael who come to the Mishkan are being told, listen, if you want to stay in Eretz Yisrael, you better improve your ways. And the subtle underlying message is, you're not naturally here either. You're only here if you deserve it. If Hashem decides that you are not worthy, you don't get to stay here. And here comes the famous part of the Nevuah. Al tiftechu lechem al divrei hasheker lemor. Bnei Israel were listening to false words. Better to say that they had false beliefs, or something that they didn't have. There's something that they felt that they was so strong in their beliefs that was leading them astray. And what was it? Listen to this phrase. Heichal Hashem, Heichal Hashem, Heichal Hashem, Hema. This is the Beit HaMikdash. This is the Beit HaMikdash. This is the Beit HaMikdash. What could be wrong with this? And the answer is that Bnei Yisrael were so convinced that, you know something? We don't need to worry. Yes, we can get punished. Yes, there can be famines. Yes, we may even have to pay taxes to another country. But would Hashem actually destroy the Beit HaMikdash? Does that make any sense whatsoever? This is his house. How could anybody even entertain the possibility for a brief second that Hashem would destroy his own house? This house has stood for hundreds of years, since the time it was built in Shlomo, when David first bought it in the end of Shmuel Bet. How could anybody think that Hashem would destroy it? And historically they were right, because less than 100 years before, in the year 701, the Assyrian Empire came. It had destroyed the northern kingdom in 722. It had destroyed all the cities of the southern kingdom in the 701. And yet, all of a sudden, what we have is the Assyrian army in its full glory outside of the walls of the Beit HaMikdash. And overnight, Hashem sends a plague, and they're destroyed. 185,000 soldiers are killed. And the remaining soldiers and the king are sent back to Assyria, and Sennacherib is eventually assassinated by his own sons for failure. It's a wonderful story. It appears in Malachim Bet Yud Tet, but it instilled among the people a belief that, listen, if you mess with the Beit HaMikdash, if you mess with Yerushalayim, Hashem himself will get involved. Paradoxically, the miracle of Hashem saving them gave them a sense of false confidence that they were invulnerable, that they could not be hurt. And this is the false belief that Yirmiyahu has to decry. Al tiftechu lechem al divrei hasheker lemor. Heichal Hashem, Heichal Hashem, Heichal Hashem chema. Ki im heitiv tativu darchem. What does God want? Improve your ways. Get your act together, guys. Im tasu mishpat ben damle ben ish l'reu. Gerbi atom v'amanah lo toshchu v'dam naki al tishpechu. Perform judgment to one person or another. Don't oppress the strangers, the orphan, the widows, the weak among society. Do not shed innocent blood. I'm going to keep going. Only then, skipping briefly to Pasuk Zayin. V'shechanti etchem b'makom hazeh ba'aretz asher natati lavotechem lemina olam ha'olam. If you want to live here forever, just as I gave this land for you, then this is what you have to do. And it continues, you rely on this divrei sheker. You're so convinced Hashem could never destroy Yerushalayim. This belief is so ingrained in the populace. Listen to what Yirmiyahu accuses them. Haganov, Rotzech, V'noef, Ishaval Sheker. This is the second half of Aseret Dibrot. Stealing, murder, adultery, swearing falsely. It's out of order. Actually, it is not quite out of order. The order is found in Targum Shivim and other places and by Shani literature. But for our purposes, better to understand that this is in order of the most common sin to the least common sin. We have here this: you steal, you murder, you commit adultery, you swear falsely, all these evil things, and yet you come before me in my house, Asher Nikra Shmi Alav, where my name is called, but Marta Nitzalna Lamana Soda Kotavarim, we're saved because we have this house. And listen to the phrase, what is, when Bnei Israel sin, what happens to the house of Hashem? Hashem's name is called, everybody knows, this is Hashem's house. This is where his reputation lies. And what is it called? Hamarat Portsim Haya Habayit. This house is a cave of thieves. This house, people talk about, oh, the Jewish people, they're a bunch of dishonest crooks. Is this what we want? Do you think Hashem wants this reputation for the Beit HaMikdash? Absolutely not. And now let's go to Pasuk Yud Bet, because this is the key for understanding what Shiloh meant. Ki lechuna mokomim asher b'Shiloh. The Mishkan had stood in Shiloh for 369 years. 369 years is the total amount of time that America and Canada together have been around. If you go back 369 years, it's 1648 in history. The 30-Year War is just ending in Europe. The two remaining armies, the two most powerful armies, are Poland and Sweden, for crying out loud. In England, Oliver Cromwell's just taken power. Galileo has just finished being tried by the Catholic Church for heresy. That's how far back we're going. And yet, the Mishkan was there for 369 years. Hashem said, my name was there. But look what your acts caused. I called you, I listened. I'm going to do to this house the most powerful line here. If you think the Beit HaMikdash is invulnerable, cannot be destroyed, look at the example of Shiloh. Look at the lesson that you should be getting. And this, of course, is the message of Yirmiyahu here. This is what Yirmiyahu is desperately trying to get through the people to understand. There is no guarantee. You cannot tell me in any way, shape, or form that the Beit HaMikdash will stand forever. It will not. It doesn't happen. There is no promise. And if you want proof of that, says Yirmiyahu, we have the story of Shiloh. We have the destruction of the Mishkan because of the sins of the people in Sefer Shoftim, and the beginning of Shmuel, where in fact the Kohanim are the most corrupt. Okay, the sons of Eli, and Eli who sleep with the women who come and they steal the korbanot. And when Eli rebukes them, we can see the corruption that lies in the people, that God can forgive Ben Adam L'Chavero, but don't commit sins Ben Adam L'Makom. God forbid you should do those sins. And the people have this belief that they think that the Aaron is some lucky charm they can bring out to war. Life is not a Steven Spielberg movie. This is not how it works. If you don't do the right thing, Hashem is not going to be with you. And Shiloh becomes the living monument. It's a ruin that's kept in ruins. And Yirmiyahu points and says, look what Hashem did. Do not think it will not happen again. The important thing that Hashem wants of us is that He dwells among us, in our actions and in our hearts. Learn from the mistakes of Shiloh. Do not make the mistake again with Yerushalayim. And that's the lesson of Shiloh that Yirmiyahu teaches. Gentlemen, have a great day.